escaped me. Okay, thank you. So the Nuffield Network was started by Lord Nuffield in 1947, and Lord Nuffield was the man who, to whom we owe the Morris cars and the Nuffield tractors. And he was a man of small means, very much a self-made man, and he came to the conclusion that there was a need in the immediate post-war to provide British farming with the opportunity to find out the best of practices around the world, to bring them back to the UK, and to make sure that the British population could benefit from better agriculture and better food, generally speaking. So from those humble beginnings, we now have a network of over 2,000 scholars in 16 countries on 5 continents. And it's a network that grows all the time. So Nuffield Ireland is only one of a number. You can see the other organizations there. There's also an organization called Nuffield International, which gathers us all, but also funds some of the scholarships for countries which have yet to set up a Nuffield organization of their own, for example, Chile, Germany, Poland, Kenya, and a few others. So Nuffield developed some important values. I mean, the Nuffield network is, of course, about agriculture and excellence in agriculture, but it is primarily about leadership and personal development of leaders at local and global level. It developed some years ago in agreement through Nuffield International, a set of values which all the organizations recognize themselves in. And they're here and they're very important. That's something that'll be hammered to all the scholars during the inductions, the various inductions that they will go through. So the first one is humility, knowing that you don't know everything and every day is a school day. Respect for other cultures, other people, other personalities, for people who are neurodiverse, for example, and so on. Integrity, that kind of goes without saying, behaving ethically and behaving with integrity. Reciprocity is super important. It's all about giving back. Diversity is both gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, etc. And in some countries, it's particularly importantly ethnicity. Thought leadership, again, as I said, this is very much a leadership program. And then continuous learning mindset, back to the humility, I suppose. It's knowing that every day you have an opportunity to learn and accepting that, and sometimes even changing your mind because you've just learned something that challenges your previous beliefs. We in Nuffield Ireland have set out the following mission, and it is for ourselves, and it is to discover people with a desire to contribute to the greater good of agriculture, food systems, and society, to develop their leadership capacity, and to support their journey to better thinking and action in agriculture. So that's basically our some of the Nuffield values and our mission. So the program then is a 2-year program, and while it's not kind of full-time academic program, it's nonetheless quite demanding. So it starts with the recruitment, which we are in the middle of at the moment. On the 30th of August, we'll gather all the application forms that we have received. We will pre-select them. We will subject the candidates to a 2-tier interview system, after which we will be recruiting between 3 and 6 scholars for 2025. They will be introduced and briefed and induced, if you like, into the program in much greater detail than I'm presenting today at our annual conference in mid-November. Between December, January, and February, they will have the opportunity, and we will support them in developing their study plans, benefiting from industry briefing days where they will meet with stakeholders and get a good overview of Irish agriculture by meeting people in the Department of Ag, in Bord Bia, in Ornua, etc., etc. We will match them with mentors who will be with them for the duration of the journey of the 2-year program, and they will get some writing training. We do a little bit of that along the road as necessary. In early March then, second week of March to be precise, and to be even more precise, from the 8th to the 16th of March 2025, we have the Contemporary Scholars Conference. I will say more about that in a moment. And then immediately following that, one large week of mandated travel or mandated presence, you will have a series of global focus program travels arranged. So what we're talking about is 5 to 6 weeks in 5 to 6 countries with approximately 10 to 12 fellow international scholars, traveling together, discovering global agriculture, local agriculture, cultures, etc. I'll come back to that. In spring of year one, between the spring of year one and spring of year two, we also expect our scholars to finalize as much as possible of their own personal research travel. So what happens in March and what happens after that in the Global Focus Programme may, if you're lucky, contribute to your research, but not necessarily. It contributes to your development and to your leadership skills, but it may not contribute directly to your research. However, it'll allow you to gain huge numbers of contacts and very valuable pocketbook of addresses that will stand to you for the rest of your life, really. In spring, then, we do a little bit of report writing training. And by the 30th of April, and this is it's the last of a number of deadlines I won't go through at this point, but on the 30th of April of year two, we expect you to have submitted your first final draft written report. There's a bit of to and fro and rewriting, etc., etc. We expect to have that finalized, approved, and uploaded to the web, to our website before, I suppose, September, October, at which point we will give you a dry run presentation opportunity. So basically, we gather up a group of scholars to give you an opportunity to present your findings and your recommendations. And you will do that then officially. These are dress rehearsals. The final will be at the November, for the 2025 scholars, it will be November 2026 annual conference, probably mid-November. So that's basically a quick run through the program. Throughout this program, we will be expecting you to keep us informed of what you're up to. So monthly reports, we have a template to facilitate that. What we expect is to see, how is your thought process developing? How are your plans developing? Who are you meeting? Who are you planning to meet? What are you doing? And again, we don't do this just to be a pain in the backside. We do this because we want to support scholars as much as possible. And we also expect 3 articles for publication by the Irish Farmers Journal. You will come across 3 very exciting stories, probably one into your CSC, one during your global focus program, and one during your personal travels. If those are present here today are interested, I can share a few of the articles that have been written by our scholars over the last couple of years. So the Contemporary Scholars Conference, CSC. So this year, so last March was held in Brazil, and all the photos you're seeing there were taken in Brazil. So it's a very intensive induction to the global network of scholars who have been selected for that year. So this is the beginning of your network. This is when you get to meet everyone from all over the world. It's an incredibly exciting but exhausting opportunity. And we as in the chair, our board member, who is our Nuffield International representative, and I attended each year because we have counterparts, we have colleagues. That's an opportunity to meet them. We're also there to support our scholars and to discuss the Nuffield International business and to make the decisions that are required around that. But for the scholars, it's an opportunity to discover the country that is hosting the event, but also to meet with local and global ag experts. And not just ag experts, you will meet also people who are into international trade, who are into risk mitigation, who are into all sorts of things, policy. So it's really super interesting, very exciting. There's always an element that's very cultural. We got to meet and discuss in quite a lot of depth with indigenous tribes in Brazil. We got to meet some farmers on their own farms, as you can see here and here. We also got to meet various institutions. This is the thing on the bottom right hand side. I can't think of the name of the organization, but it's basically the Chagas of Brazil, if I can call it that. That's not entirely accurate. There's also a good bit of fun, as you can see from the photo here. we got an opportunity to go scuba diving down an incredibly pristine river, as you could see. But that was mixed with a lot of work that same day. So anyway, all of this happens over a very intense week, starting early in the morning, finishing up late in the evening. Last year was in Brazil. Next year will be from the 8th to the 16th of March in New Zealand. And that is non-negotiable. That week, the scholars have to be present. They have to be committed to that. And because New Zealand is a long way away, you're talking probably a day and a half's travel either side of that. So it's a big time commitment. We do realize that, and that's very much part of what applicants need to understand about the program. Then the Global Focus Program, that's a second set of mandatory travels. Those are done in small groups of 10 to 12 or so scholars from all over the world. You have a few of them there that in different places. In Japan, this, believe it or not, was actually in the Netherlands. This was in France. This was in Singapore. This was somewhere in Africa. I can't remember where. This was in New Zealand. This, I can't remember where it was. And this was in the US. This was an Amish community. So basically in 2024, the destinations that people visited over their global focus programs were New Zealand, Kenya, Australia, etc. You can read them all there. So it's pretty much a round the world trip, so to speak. And the idea is that you will spend those 5 to 6 weeks with fellow scholars in quite close quarters. You're going to be sharing rooms. You're going to be managing your trip. It's all organized for you, but there will be elements of it that will require a bit of engagement from you. You will miss flights, or flights will be cancelled. You will have great backing because Nuffield Australia organizes all that, and they will make sure that you get another flight and so on. But there will be a good bit of sort of self-management and managing yourself in the presence of others who may be very different from you, different culture, different personalities, and so on. So it's both challenging, exciting, and really brilliant.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. So the scholarship itself, as you know, the applications close on the 30th of August, and the selection is from September, is in September, sorry. And there'll be two sets of interviews. I don't know that I've put the dates anywhere, so I'll mention them here. The first interview date will be the 10th of September, and for those that get through that, there'll be a second interview on the 17th of September. In person, ideally. I'll leave it at that for this moment. The bursary is 18,000. It's a significant amount of money, no question about that. It looks very appealing, but our experience is that with significant increases in cost of travel, accommodation, car rental, and everything else, it just about covers the basic mandatory cost of the program. You will end up putting your hand in your pocket. Now, there's ways of using this cleverly, but I won't go into that at this point because obviously that's something more appropriate to people who have already been selected. So there will be a mentor provided and lots of support. And all I can say to anyone who applies and is successful is reach out, because the goodwill that's among scholars both in Ireland and around the world is incredible. And they will welcome you, they will open their doors to you, they will feed you, they will give you a bed for the night, they will support you, they will give you contacts, but you need to reach out, you need to be bold, and you need to be obviously prepared to give back at some point in the future, and you will be asked to do that in due time. I want to remind as well, scholars, that when you are selected for the scholarship and if you accept it, we ask you to sign a contract. So you become obligated to Nuffield Ireland under contract. So there's an amount of time for travel, 9 weeks plus in total. So 1 week of CSC. That should read 5 to 6 weeks of GFP. It had been reduced to 4 during COVID. My bad. I should have corrected that. And 4 plus of personal travel. So it all adds up to around 9 weeks. Report writing, meet the deadlines, get out of your way to meet the deadlines. They will come back and bite you in the bum if you don't. The topic and the report IP, intellectual property, is owned by Nuffield Ireland. So you cannot publish your findings or your report before Nuffield Ireland does. and Nuffield Island will publish it when it's good and done, and it will be good and done before you report to the conference 2 years after you started the program. So we also expect 3 articles per scholar over 3 years. As I said, typically 1 over your CSC, 1 over your GFP, 1 over your personal travels. It's the easiest way to do it. Presenting the findings and recommendations at year 2 of the conference is also an obligation. So once all of that is done and finalized and in due time and in due format, any money that is left in the bursary, we give back to you. So we don't keep money, 18,000 is yours, but the one thing that we do keep until the report is returned is €2,000. And from 2026, a decision has already been made by the board to increase that to 4,000. So it's very important that you would live up to all the deadlines. Reciprocity of the program after the program is completed is also an expectation, and you will benefit from that reciprocity throughout the program. In fact, you will not be able to wait till somebody knocks on your door that you might give back a little bit of the hospitality you will have enjoyed. I'm not just saying that, that's very true. Your personal commitment is paramount. You will need to, commit yourself and make sure that you do everything that is asked of you, and you will get it back in spades. There's also other opportunities. We have an in to the UNFAO in Rome for the World Food Forum and for the Council for Food Security. A little bit less easy is to become an NGIN ambassador. That's a little bit more unpredictable, but we had one in 2022. David Dolan here from Mayo, dairy farmer from Mayo, was an NGIN ambassador. He was our last NGIN ambassador, so hopefully we'll recruit more over the coming years. Okay, I want to speed up a little bit here because I'm conscious of time. So what's expected from you in the scholarship application form is pretty basic. At the beginning, we want your personal information. That's self-evident. Your current employment. And then the other headings under which we ask you to give us some information is your leadership and your career and business ambitions and goals for the next 5 to 10 years. How you participate in your occupation. What kind of leadership do you give in your occupation or in your own business or in your own community? Your leisure pursuits. How you learned about the Nuffield scholarships, because it's important for us to be able to know, where did you hear about us from? Your topic. Give us a title and a summary. Why you chose the topic, its relevance to Irish agriculture, your travel plans. Bearing in mind there is flexibility. I'll come back on that. We need you to give us 2 referees. We do check back with referees. Ideally, one of those should be a scholar, but not everybody has a scholar up their sleeve, and we understand that. So 2 referees in any case that we will be contacting. There's only 10 days to go to closing for applications, and the applications require a bit of time. So what we expect to see you do in that application form, first thing, I know it's very self-evident, but I'll say it anyway. The application is the first impression you make. So it's really important to, put your best foot forward. I feel like I'm patronizing here, and maybe I am, and I apologize if you feel that I am, but I'm looking at this from the experience I have of reading application forms over the years. Take your time, be thorough. You won't do it in 5 minutes, even if you try. Respond to all the questions, and where there is a word number requested, try to respect it, because there's going to be people having to read through this, and you need to get to the point as quickly as possible. Write with care, write in full sentences. Ensure your topic has as concise a title as possible, as precise as possible, as few words as possible. Again, bearing in mind that may need tweaking down the line, because you might want to tweak it, and that's fine. That's fine. But try to convey what passions you, what makes you passionate. What's particularly important for our selectors and our interviewers is to get a feel for your leadership experience and your ambition in your work and your community, your passion for your topic, its relevance to Irish agriculture in particular, but maybe a broader relevance just as well, bearing in mind again that you can change and tweak even once you're selected. The selection committee will also aim to see, well, how compatible is this person with the Nuffield values? So in answering those questions, bear in mind those 8 values. And I'm quite happy to share those slides, by the way, with anyone who is attending here today. Seek to demonstrate that you in some way espouse those values, or that you embody them in some way in your application form. And I think you will have guessed by now that you as a person matter at least as much as your topic. I say at least, not just as much as your topic. That would be my personal view. So we have good scholarship investors who support us every year, and it's important that we would thank them. You can see them all there. I like to quote this. This was particularly dear to one of our past chairpersons, and that's that Nuffield scholars must be penetrating in their analysis, forthright in their reporting, courageous in their practices, provocative in their advocacy, and adventurous in their forecasts. This was a statement by John Sister, who was chair of Nuffield UK in 1976. What this is really encouraging you to do is to be bold, and to, you know, because sometimes you go research a topic and you find that what you found is a little bit challenging to an Irish Ag audience. That shouldn't stop you, basically, I think is what this is trying to tell you. So at this, Mr. Chairman, if there are any questions for, before we get to questions, you have something else to do, Mr. Chairman, so I'm just going to stop sharing. These are my contact details here. In any case, I'm happy to share those slides with anyone attending here today. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Catherine. We can put them up again afterwards. So thanks for that. All I'll do now is we have Pat and Gillian with us, and they'll give us a few minutes on their experiences and their highlights from their Nuffield experience. So we'll go with Pat first. Pat was a Nuffield scholar back in 2019. He's now a board member of Nuffield Ireland, and his topic at that time was encouraging farmers to meet GHG targets. So Pat, away you go.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Andrew. Look, I suppose what I cover here is just probably look. I did it in 2019. It was one of the best experiences of my life. The highlights, I suppose, included when it was on GFP, kind of particularly traveling around with nine different people, we'll say, around the world, and I suppose kind of highlight in terms of what's thrown at you. We'll say one week you're in actually Qatar, and basically money can solve any problem, and the next week you're in Kenya, and you're looking at people starving there, and I even brought it back to home, and a housing crisis where they were expecting to go from 50 million people to 80 million people in 20 years. So it just opens your mind and broadens it in terms of what challenges are around the world. There's many of them are in common with our own, but then there's some of them that'll just blow your mind, and what people are doing, and in terms of what people are doing in maybe some of the most remote places in kind of the world, and it's leading edge and technology. I suppose what else have I got from it? I suppose I have friends for life and a network for life. So no matter what needs to happen, and I regularly use it if it's something on in my own business in terms of what's happening in dairy and somewhere else, which is what's Price doing, or if it was before in banking, what's happening on banking. So you have a network there. My own actually discussion group have traveled a good bit, have used it every single time, we'll say, on those travels and planning those travels. So I suppose, yeah, you're meeting friends that you'll never have an opportunity of kind of meeting again. And as Catherine says, they're very willing to give back. And the one thing I'd say on Catherine as well, in terms of doing this application, never be afraid to ask an Nuffielder for help, because they will always help. And that would have been my experience. So yeah, tremendous experience. Delighted for doing it. Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. And probably the doors that were open for you as well with that, with the Nuffield tag associated with your scholarship. Did you find that a big plus?
Yeah, huge, and actually, yeah, it's great. As you say, you have your network across the world, but actually, you'll be very surprised who's very aware of it in Ireland too. So in terms of opportunities back in Ireland and kind of your own jobs, it's kind of a huge plus and bonus. also in kind of careers, be it on farm or off farm.
Great. Okay, thanks, Pat. We'll come back if and there are plenty of questions that come up, no doubt, as we go through our chats this evening. So, Gillian, we'll introduce Gillian now, one of our newer scholars, 2023 scholar. She can also just give us, well, her topic when she did it was people management to secure engagement and sustainability of agribusiness. Well, I will ask Gillian to also just give us a little rundown on the job you have at the moment. You're a co-chair of the Nuffield 2026 Triennial Organising Committee. Long title, but you can explain it. So thanks, Gillian.
Thanks, Andrew, and hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, look, to talk a little bit on my own experience at Nuffield, I'm still very much so in it. I'm preparing for my own presentation in November of this year, so a couple of months to go on to that. Look, I probably echo what Pat said. A lot of it, when you talk to anyone that's in Nuffield, a lot of it is the people, and the people you get to travel with, the people that open up their homes to you, the people that open up their businesses to you. And I think the beauty of Nuffield around the world is it's so well known and it's so well respected, and you get access to places and countries you could never have imagined, into businesses, and you see CEOs and MDs take time out of their day to show you around, and they're as interested in you as and what's going on in your country as you are in theirs as well. So it's really incredible, the countries and the access that you get. You friends for life. It's really incredible that way, from all ages and all cultures and all corners of the world. And you get the opportunity to travel, and you get to travel in a different way because you get to stay in people's homes, you get to meet their families, you get to see their day-to-day life. So it really is incredible in that sense. And what I'd say to you is, don't be too nervous about the application process. My own application, but the topic that I went in has done I see Catherine nodding, a full 360 to what I applied for. But believe in yourself, and if you're the right candidate, Nuffield will pick that up, and you have the opportunity to work on that as well. On the Nuffield Triennial, Nuffield Triennial is an event that takes place every 3 years. So it happened in 2023 in New Zealand, and we're very excited to host it in Ireland in 2026. So myself and Aoife Feeney, who's a 2022 scholar, are co-chairing that event in Ireland in 2 years' time. So essentially what it is Catherine touched on the fact that there's over 2,000 scholars around the world now. So every 3 years, we take around 350 scholars come together in one of the Nuffield countries for 10 days and travel around the country and get to see agriculture in that country. So we're taking them here in May 2026 from Northern Ireland right down to the through Kildare and down to Cork. So that's taken up a little bit of time in mine and Aoife's, and a great committee schedule as well. But it's also the beauty of Nuffield. It's a new opportunity, it's a new challenge, and got exposed to new people within the Irish agri sector as well. So lots of exciting things definitely come out of Nuffield. So if in doubt, I would just say apply. Don't doubt it any longer. And happy to take any questions as well.
Great. Thanks, Gillian. So I suppose we'll just open the floor to questions. If any of you that have joined us there would like to ask any questions either about Nuffield itself. I know Catherine has gone through a very detailed explanation of everything that's involved, but she would be very happy to cover the application process. As she said, there's just 10 days left to apply. Interviews will be held, the first round of interviews will be held on the 10th of September, and the final ones then on the 17th. So have we any questions? I've gone quiet.
How do the two different... All right.
Hey, Rachel, is it? Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks. How do the two different rounds of interviews vary from each other?
Catherine, do you want to go into the detail?
Yeah, so I suppose the first thing is that the panels are somewhat different. The first set of interview consists of panels of alumni, typically 3 alumni, who will, basically try to establish your Nuffield credentials, shall we say, or your potential suitability as a future Nuffield scholar. They will then recommend to a number of candidates to a second panel. Now, the second panel is chaired by our chairperson. That's Joe Leonard at the moment, and includes representatives of our investors. I have to say it tends to be a tougher interview. It's a longer interview. So let's say 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So the first set of interviews will be about 20 minutes. The second set of interviews about 30 minutes. Yeah, I think in terms of difference, it's essentially the panel is larger. These are the people, these are some of the representatives of the people who pay money to the organization. So they want to be satisfied ultimately that they make the right investment. And there are also scholars present in that panel. So it's a panel of 5, I think, from memory. 5 to 6, I think it has been as high as 6. But the main difference, I suppose, is that the second set of interviews is about, right, we have enough money for X. Who are those X? And sometimes we're in a situation that we'd love to have money for X plus, and we don't. And where that is the case, we tend to communicate that to applicants, and we say, look, don't be shy to apply again. I can tell you, and I don't know if there are any, we won't ask any indiscreet questions, but I can tell you of very prominent Nuffield alumni who applied several times before they got selected. So that can be done too. But anyway, that's a long-winded answer.
Okay.
Thanks, Catherine. So, and have any more questions? Yeah, I suppose just thinking back while we're waiting there of the final interview, they'll be looking for a wider range of questions, I suppose. So you want to see how well-rounded an individual and the worldview as well, that's wider than just your topic and outside of agriculture. Do you have a view on various things? Are you well informed? So I was just thinking also, remember the last night we were just talking about when I was doing my own, you think that far from places that they don't have the same issues or don't have the. I remember one evening coming in when I was sharing a room with a man from Tasmania, and he was speaking to his wife about the issues at home. I couldn't help overhearing his conversation in the room we were sharing, and it was all about what was going on at the farm at home. And at that time, Tasmania was like this mystical place that I never knew hardly existed except in comic books and Tasmanian Devil. But it's just that was one of the things, or lots of things in my own experience stuck in my mind. My topic at the time was to do with co-ops, and I ended up speaking to a rice farmer in the outback of Australia about co-op issues there, and they were the very, very same issues as we were dealing with dairy co-ops back in Ireland, which was an amazing thing, and it always stuck with me that you think that you have nothing in common with some people, and actually you could have everything in common with them. Mm-hmm. So, how are we going there? Any more questions?
The one piece of advice I'd give as well on kind of the application, view it nearly like a CV, like, so you're making a good impression. Get someone to proofread it if you need a little bit of help in terms of answering certain questions. Just ask for it. Be your friend, be it an Nuffield or kind of whatever. Just keep it. It's simple, but just keep it concise and just give it a proofread.
Yeah, and maybe just maybe just to add a small bit to that, if you haven't done interviews before, in the case of lots of us probably haven't, it is a good idea to get practice on that as well. Mm-hmm. Sorry, we're going to say, Catherine?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, again, back to the point about reaching out to Nuffield scholars, don't be shy, and that includes all of us here on this call. I mean, I'm quite happy to take a call if somebody has particular questions. Now, one question which was put to me recently is, you know, where somebody is, should somebody be selected for interview, and unfortunately the interview dates have been set a long time back, so we're not going to change those. If they are out of the country or unavailable that particular day, well, I suppose there's two things. We can't guarantee that the selection committee will be willing to entertain a virtual interview, but if the person is worth it, I think, you know, that has happened before, but I'm not in a position to guarantee it here and now. The other thing is that, you know, we're not going anywhere, or at least we hope we're not going anywhere. And there's always next year if, you know, if this year is not working out for whatever reason. But I would hope, and again, I'm not in a position to give that guarantee, but I would hope that for the right person, and with a very persuasive application form, you know, a bit of flexibility would be applied, because we have done it before, and not just with COVID. So.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. Okay. Gillian, if I can ask you there,
Yep.
are there any things, if you were doing it again, you would do differently, or just, I suppose we've spoke about all the great things and that, but there's probably also things that people would change or do it slightly differently.
Yeah, I would probably say when you do start, well, in terms of the application, I would definitely get someone to read over it, whether it's even a colleague in work or, you know, your manager, it's a friend from or a sibling or whoever it is, and just get them to take a look over it. There's definitely no harm in that, and they'll catch something, because you'll end up reading it dozens and dozens of times. And the only thing I really would just say is back yourself. You know, I think that's really important. You know, if you're here today, it's a good first step, and it's something that you're interested in, put the application in. As Catherine says, you know, there's opportunities in other years as well, but start the process, start to build a network, and reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. If you Google or go onto the website, you can see who are Nuffield scholars. You might see somebody that's in a company that you're aware of, or someone that has similar interests or a topic you're interested in. Reach out to them. Most people are on LinkedIn as well, and you will be amazed by how warm and welcoming the Nuffield network is. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone as well. And I think if I could change anything on my Nuffield journey, is probably to do more travel. I think you can get addicted to traveling when you're on it, and you really have access to so many great people. So the opportunities are really endless on it. And I think the thing with Nuffield is, once you're done after your 2 years, the Nuffield network is still there, and you can still pick up the phone and go and travel and meet those people. So once you're Nuffield, you're always a Nuffielder.
Well, actually, just on that very quickly, I happened to be in Canada in early November, and I'd been near Winnipeg, and I had a day to spare there, and I just said, I look up the book I have from 2012, is there any Nuffield scholars around there? And I found a dairy farmer just about 20 minutes outside the city. So there you go. There's one example of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just ask you, like, there's this also has an effect, like everyone has, again, I remember when I was doing it, when we had the CSC, there was 60 of us there, but with about 140 kids between us. And so there was a lot of families affected, and particularly can be young families. It's kind of, it's not just yourselves going for the application. It's usually, it affects a lot more than just yourselves. Would you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like from my perspective, your whole family is involved, and that's really important. And you've got to bring them on the journey with you as well, and explain what Nuffield is. And I think the piece is, you go away for 8 or 9 weeks, and there's people left at home, and they think you're on a bit of a jolly sometimes.
Mhm.
So you have to explain to them what it is. And I think that's what's really good about the Nuffield network. We do explain it, and we talk a lot about it, and how you keep people at home up to date and involved, and bring them on the journey with you. And then they get to see it at the end as well. They get to see the final product when they come back for your presentation too. So I think there's a piece that they're excited, they support you, but you can find the best way to bring them on the journey too.
And Pat, how would you find that?
Yeah, no, I was going to add there as well. Like it's worth noting, like there's nothing stopping you bringing partners and that on your private or your personal travel element of it. So yeah, look, you have to get kind of massive support. Even when I look back at it now, and I went on my GFP, so I'm a dairy farmer. I went in my GFP in March, and you think, Jesus, there's no way you could do it, be gone for nearly 7 weeks, but you kind of manage it. You set things up, and I suppose that even gives you great confidence in kind of future as well, that you have that kind of support. And it's a challenge. All challenges can be overcome, and I suppose that's just another example.
Just a point on that. I mean, to be fair to Pat, and it's relevant whether you are self-employed like Pat, or whether you are an employee in an organisation like Gillian would have been when she did her scholarship, and basically, or when she was awarded her scholarship. You are going to need the support of your employer. There's no way around that if you're an employed person, because you're going to disappear for a very large week because you're traveling to New Zealand from the 8th to the 15th, but you can add a day and a half either side of that. And then you're going to disappear for 5 to 6 weeks traveling around the world. As Gillian put it, some people might perceive it as a bit of a jolly. So it's really important to ensure that there is understanding on behalf of your employer. I know when I did mine, which was donkeys years ago, the program was completely different from what it is today. It was practically non-existent. But the one thing was that you still needed to have the support of your employer because you were going to disappear for a lengthy period of time. So nearly the first bit of the conversation, I would say, before the application form is filled, is to try and engage with your employer and say, look, this is what I'd like to do. Your employer ought to see that there is value in your participating in this program for them, because it is going to add value to you as an employee. It's going to broaden out the network of the company you work for, if that's what you do. It's going to create opportunities to to broaden out that network from a business perspective potentially for that company. So there's you need to secure that support, but it's not necessarily a big hurdle to overcome if your employer is understanding enough. And I'm not assuming anything here, because not everybody is as perhaps broad visioned and broad minded as they ought to be, but that it should be a bit of a no-brainer for an employer to say, wow, my employee is has been awarded or will hopefully be awarded a Nuffield scholarship. That's a great bonus for our organisation, and we'll stand behind them. That means that they're going to have to work without you for 5, 6, 7, 9 weeks if you do all your travels, and you will do them in the 1 year. They may be very kind and give you your annual leave and not a lot else. I know of recent scholars who were very fortunate to have very broad-minded employers who actually gave them all the time off they needed, and even saw the value from their own company's perspective, literally, because the topic was relevant to the companies concerned. Now, the topics we ask scholars to come back to us with have to have a broader value than to just a sort of a very what would you call it? A very pointed topic that is only relevant to your employer and to no one else in Irish agriculture. That will not survive the interview process. But I think don't underestimate the importance of support from your employer, and secure it as early as you can. And if you need support, again, if you need support in articulating and explaining the program to your employer, in outlining what's in it and what the value is for them, I wouldn't expect you to be in a position at this stage to outline that in detail, but get them to contact me or to contact any one of us here, or so that we can support you in getting that support. And then where it goes is the topic of the interview process.
Great, thanks, Catherine. So we'll just reiterate again, those slides are available. The session has been recorded, and all our contact details and Catherine's contact details are available if anyone wants to come back to us afterwards. Do we have any more questions? Catherine, you were so comprehensive, no one needs to ask a question.
Clearly, I bored the pants off everybody, or else I put them to sleep.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've covered the ground, have
Yeah, I think we Tom, have we Tom there? No,
No.
I just thought it came up there. So I think maybe if we have covered everything and there's no hello. Did someone want to say something? No.
No, I'm not
Okay.
hearing anything.
Well, if you can come back to us because do you want to just flick up? Can you flick up the contact details just once more if anyone wants
I
to see them
can,
there?
of course. Yeah, I can, of course.
Catherine, and we'll bring it to a close if yeah.
Okay,
So
and if you want to leave your email address in the chat, I think I have the email address. I've taken down your names as I see them on the screen. I've taken. I can email you the slides back. I will find a way as well to put a link to the recording on our social media for people who want to check it out again.
great. Okay, I think we'll bring it to a close since you've been so comprehensive. We covered everything, Catherine. So thanks
seems.
everyone for joining us, and to Gillian and Pat as well, and thank you most of all to Catherine. And don't forget, 10 days to go. Get your applications in, and the first interview will be on the 10th of September. And best of luck and best wishes to everyone.
Thank you very much. Good
Good
night,
night.
all.
Good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.